Hey guys, welcome to Feature Junkie. My name is Ed, and thank you guys for joining me today. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is Feature Junkie, where we talk all things movies, TV shows, streaming, all that great, fantastic stuff. And today we'll be talking about the movie Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, starring Austin Butler, Tom Hanks, and Olivia DeJonge. So right now, IMDb has this movie rated as a 7.8 out of 10, and then Rotten Tomatoes has this as a 78%. Audience scores actually has it as a 94%. I have a few thoughts about this movie, but before we get into it, please like this video, subscribe, and let's get into the plot courtesy of IMDb. Elvis follows the story of an infamous rock and roll star, Elvis Presley, seen through the eyes of his controversial manager, Colonel Tom Parker. The film explores Elvis's highs of highs and lows of lows, and the many challenges and controversies he received through his career. So quick story before I get into this film. My wife and I actually saw this movie when it first came out, and we went to one of our local theaters, and it just so happened that right before the movie there was a local group doing covers of Elvis songs, so I had to get a picture with Elvis. Don't mind what we're wearing, we just like to go to the movies comfortable. Okay, so now let's get into the movie. First off, I want to say Austin Butler was incredible. He really embodied the character. He's definitely an Oscar-nominating actor for this movie, for sure. I think Tom Hanks as well is easily hated through this movie. I think his accent is a little bit weird and slips in and out, but I did some more research on Tom Parker, and it turns out his real name wasn't even Tom Parker. He wasn't even a colonel. His name was Andreas Vachkunki. Something like that. He was basically a Dutch immigrant that came from Holland to make some money in the circus. I heard Elvis sing one day, and he thought he could make some money off of him. And that's basically all we know about this guy, because he was so paranoid that people would actually find out who he actually was. So there isn't much footage of him. There's rarely any pictures of him on the internet as well. So basically, Tom Hanks had to create his own accent for this role that had to sound Dutch, had to have a southern twang because they're in the Texas area, and it also had to sound like he was covering up that accent as well. So it's really like three accents in one. And again, to me, it comes off a little weird, but to do all that and just make up your own weird accent, I thought Tom Hanks did a pretty good job in that. Historically as well, they did some really cool things in this movie, and they didn't shy away from those controversial topics, like Elvis taking his music from gospel and soul people. They also talked about Priscilla when they first met, and she was only 14 years old. They even brought in Fat Elvis, which I thought was pretty cool, but he was only in there for like the last 5 minutes of the movie, so I don't think they wanted you to dwell on that and remember him in that aspect. But yeah, they do a really good job of documenting everything that happens in his life, like when he's first found as an artist to the day that he dies. One thing that nobody warned me about is how long this movie is. This movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes long, which is way too long to tell the story for me. He dies at 43 years old, and there's a part in the movie where he just turns 40, and I could literally feel myself being like, oh my gosh, is this movie ever gonna end? Also, I was never really a fan of Elvis, the musician, so that might have played into my distaste of the movie. I didn't think the movie was bad, it just felt really long. You know, if we're talking musician to movie adaptations, I feel like the movie Ray is probably the best in that genre. But I think the movie Elvis should definitely be up there. I feel like they just needed to take out about like 30 to 40 minutes of this movie, and it would have been perfect. I do want to point out two facts about this film, in which Tom Hanks' makeup artist, who has done 16 of his films, his name is Daniel Stripsky. He's an industry makeup artist in the Hollywood world, and he just so happened to also be Elvis's personal makeup artist for all his movies as well, including the iconic Viva Las Vegas. Tom Hanks never knew that information as well, so it's just one of those things that are like, what are the odds that this guy is the same guy that has done Elvis's stuff as well. Also, once Austin Butler found out he got the role for Elvis, he literally obsessed himself with Elvis for 2 years. He didn't watch any movies, TV shows, listen to any music that didn't include Elvis in it. He basically wanted to live the life as if he was Elvis and portray him to the best ability that he can. And I think that's why his performance in this movie just comes off as so authentic, because he really just wanted to give his best for this film. But yeah, that's everything I have for this movie. I want to hear from you guys if you've seen it, and what did you think about this movie as well? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, and share with all your families and friends. Hit that notification icon bell so you know when I'm going live and dropping new content. And thank you guys for joining me today here on Feature Junkie.